G'day mates, it's Busta here. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that the last story has some particularly explicit content in this video. Please be advised of viewers' discretion for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and without further ado, let's begin. Number 3. This happened in the early 80s. I was a kid, perhaps 5 or 6, and totally fine with the dark. It didn't scare me in the way it does other kids. It may be because I was pretty sheltered. I went to a private Catholic school in a small town, and I don't remember hearing about things that go bump in the night. Even on Halloween, I'd dress up as a cute thing like a crayon or a pumpkin. So, one night, when I woke up thirsty, I tossed and turned, but eventually dragged myself downstairs using only the moonlight so not to wake up my sister. I crept downstairs quietly and walked into the kitchen right around the corner. There were windows on either side of the room. Under one of the windows was the sink, and under the other was the kitchen table next to the back door. This night, the light was pulling in on the table to the floor across from me. It ended before the sink, but was at an angle, so I crossed it to get to the sink, and I would have to cross it again to get back up to the stairs. I filled up my glass and was taking big gulps of water at the sink when I heard a noise. It sounded like someone on the back porch, so I quickly put my glass down and turned around. In the window was a shadowy figure. It was too late for visitors, so I crouched in the darkness under the sink. That's when I heard the crash of glass breaking. Shards from the window scattered across the floor, and I saw a hand reaching to unlock the door. All I could think about was hiding. I couldn't get back upstairs without the vandal seeing me in the window light. There was only the laundry room in the other direction, so I rushed to it. I hid behind the washing machine, and somehow I managed to fall asleep there. The next thing I know, my mum and cousin are screaming for me, and it's light outside. My mum scooped me into her arms, sat with me in an old rocking chair, and hugged me so tight for an eternity. She never mentioned the incident again. I began to wonder if it happened, because memories can be so unreliable. Something scared me enough though, that I always slept with my light on. Fast forward about 20 years. My grandmother had just died, and I flew home for the service. She was one of my favourite people, so I was pretty devastated. I don't know how many visitations you've been to, but often close family will line up next to the casket while all those in attendance walk by and they shake hands and give condolences. Many people shared stories and told me uplifting messages about my grandma and some about my dad. He died when I was about 2, and I was told his visitation was in the same room. It was all bittersweet. Then, this woman comes up who I've never met, and nothing seems off at first. She was sharing and laughing with my aunts, talking sweetly to my cousins, but once she got to me, her smile faded completely. She turned and walked off without so much as an empty, "I'm sorry for your loss." Actually, the look she gave me made me feel as if I'd offended her. A short while later, my friend approached me saying she'd overheard a woman saying some disturbing things about me. It was the same strange woman from before. She knew everything about me and my sister and was telling people I didn't know intimate details about things my friend didn't even know. It was really odd, but my mum told me that she'd talk about it later. In a few hours, I left with my mum to pick up some snacks, and it was in the parking lot that she leveled with me. The woman was my father's ex-girlfriend. She had always felt that she was the one who was supposed to marry him and have his children. She felt as if Mum stole him from her. It was basically what you imagine typical stalker behaviour to be. She had plans to kidnap us and run away, but something didn't go as planned and she was caught. I guess Mum felt sorry for her because she didn't mention pressing charges. I guess she'd convinced my aunts to believe her, and my dad was long gone, so he couldn't straighten them out. Mum told me with her being lonely and so dedicated to this relationship, she thought she had what it took, but she didn't have the heart to tell my aunts the truth about her and further isolate her. But that's when it hit me. It was her breaking in that night. If I hadn't have woken up and hid behind the washing machine, she would have gotten away with me, especially since I'm a heavy sleeper. It would have been really easy since I wouldn't have been able to put up much of a fight. It gets stranger though. There were things which would happen all through my childhood that I just learned to ignore. People would call and not say anything into the phone. It didn't matter how many times I changed my phone because I would always get calls from random local numbers. When I moved away, it continued, and I knew it wasn't a telemarketer because the zip code was always from an unfamiliar home number. Also, when these calls would happen, it would be several times in a row. The person would call, I'd answer, hear nothing, and hang up. A few minutes later, the same thing would happen, over and over. Eventually, I would yell at the person on the other end, and it would stop. It became normal though, as this had happened my whole life. Then, there was the strangers following me. Until that moment, I always thought I had an overactive imagination as a kid. Sometimes, I'd look outside and see a car parked nearby and swear there was a person inside just staring right at me. I'd walk away, come back, and they'd still be there, sometimes for hours. This happened at school, at my friends', at my relatives' houses, and once, when I was visiting a neighbour's, the person even walked up to the window and started watching us until we noticed. We screamed, and an adult called the cops. They found the plants under the window trampled, but never caught the person. These all seemed like isolated coincidences until that moment my mum told me about my father's stalker. I became much more private with my numbers. I added new passwords to my social media, and at the time I lived in a gated community on the other side of the country, so I didn't worry too much about her. It may not be related, but now that it's been a few years and I'm thinking about it, I haven't once had a phone call since that funeral. It just stopped, and it happened so frequently before that I think I've just realized how strange it is not to be bothered by these calls for a few years now. If there was a message here, I suppose it would be to pay attention to your kids because sometimes it's not their overactive imaginations.
Number 2.
So here's a little backstory before I get started. I'm a 20-year-old female who goes to university in California. One day, when my friends were out of the house and I was extremely bored, I decided to go on a website called Omegle. I'd been on this website before, but it had always been with friends. However, since I'm a genius and all, I decided going on the video part alone would be a fantastic idea. After scrolling past multiple creeps with dicks in their hand, I finally landed on a very handsome guy. He was tan, muscular, and he had an accent which of course immediately made me swoon. As we were talking, the video was kind of lagging because of my crappy internet, so he asked if he could have my number to talk on the phone. I thought that was kind of strange, but understandable, so I gave out my number anyway. I mean, he was hot. Then, we continued the conversation, and I thought he was funny and smart. I asked him where he was from, and he literally said the name of the town that was 20 minutes away from my school. I was so excited that I stupidly told him what school I went to, and he said his cousin went there as well. We talked for hours, but there were some red flags that came up. He said he used to be addicted to drugs, and that he cut his sister's ex-boyfriend's Achilles heel because he beat her. Things like this came up, but I honestly thought he was just a lost soul. Also, using drugs and defending your sister doesn't make you a bad person, so I kept talking to him. He wanted to meet that weekend, but since I was coming out of a bad relationship, meeting men was not a main priority of mine. I was just having fun with a little bit of attention from him. Each day, he kept calling me, and he constantly made me laugh, so I was wondering if I should just get off my ass and see him. But there was still something very off about him. He would brag about how rich he was, and how his dad owned many companies. Also, I remember one time I almost died laughing because he said the least amount of time he had sex was for 6 hours. Our conversations would mostly be fun, but then he would throw in really depressing details like how his brother died and that his ex-girlfriend had an abortion. Let me just say, I'm not one that's easily impressed by money, status, sexual skills, or anything like that, so I just found the information he was giving me kind of comical and frankly just unbelievable. But bored little old me still decided to talk to this fool. I remember he mentioned that there was a fashion show at my school that Thursday and that he had been invited to join. I personally found this strange because whenever there's a fashion show at my school, there are many Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram posts about it, and I hadn't seen any. Also, why would my school invite a random guy who doesn't even go to the university? But I thought since he had his cousin there, maybe that was why. Once again, he mentioned another death in our conversation. This time, the death of his best friend in a car crash. I gave my apologies, and we continued talking. He started saying things to me about how I'm such a great person, how he's never met anyone like me, bullshit like that. He even hinted multiple times that he was in love with me, which I found to be very creepy considering we'd only been talking for a couple of days. However, I just decided to try and brush it off. I was having fun with this guy still. So, when Wednesday rolled around, he'd been asking to see me a million times like he had done the past 3 days. Then, he casually mentioned he spent $27 on me. I was like, "What the hell do you mean?" He said, "I spent $27 on an app that can track you." Then he mentioned that I lived 10 minutes away from the school. I was freaking the fuck out at this stage, so I just kept on repeating, "You're joking, right?" until he finally said he was lying. He also made a weird comment about how he could just show up at my house, and he kept on asking me if I believed him. I said, "Yes, but please don't show up here. I won't let you in." Then he said, "Your roommates would let me in." I was very uncomfortable about all this, but he called me later at night and we had a really normal conversation, so I decided to let it go. Stupid, I know. Anyway, Thursday was finally here and he called me in the morning to tell me that his uncle died. At this point, there were 3 dead people he had mentioned, and I was starting to wonder, was he the one killing them all? But I quickly changed the subject and asked where he was going to be on campus for the fashion show. He then gave me some bullshit answer of, "I'll find the location when I get there." I kept on asking him more questions about the fashion show, and he gave super vague answers, so I knew for sure he was full of shit. Also, this was the first day he didn't ask to see me. I found this odd because he knew he was going to be close to me. Wouldn't he have tried his hardest to get together? He also hadn't sent me any text messages all day, which was really strange. By this point, I tried not to focus on him anymore because I had midterms on Friday, so I went onto campus with my friends to study. Mid-study session, I got a message that just read, "So." I had the worst fear come over me suddenly. I know the message didn't say anything threatening, but I had the weirdest gut feeling. So, at that moment, I excused myself and called my best friend who had been up to date with all that was going on. As I was on the phone with her, the guy called me, and my best friend said that I should merge the call so that she could listen in. I wasn't ready for what he said next, and it still creeps me out to this day. "You didn't tell me you liked to go out," he said. "What are you talking about?" I responded. Then he said, "You're not at home right now." I was shitting bricks. First off, how did this asshole know I was out of the house? And second, how the hell did he know my address? After the call, I immediately called the police, who, as per usual, couldn't do anything since I wasn't directly threatened. They just told me to write him a message which read, "Please don't talk to me anymore," to which he responded, "I'll do whatever makes you happy, but just know, I'll never give up." That text was obviously still threatening, so I basically told all my housemates to leave for the weekend, and I decided to stay with a friend. Luckily, it's been about 8 months and I haven't had any run-ins with this guy, but weeks after the incident, there were weird things happening. Multiple weeks in a row, there was someone who would bang on the door and ring the doorbell in the middle of the night. And when my roommates and I went downstairs to check, there was no one there. Also, when one of my roommates was home alone, she heard someone trying to jerk the door open. These things might have just been a coincidence, but we got another lock installed because someone was clearly fucking with us, even if it wasn't my stalker.
Number 1.
What I'm about to tell you haunts me to this day. This is a secret I hope to carry to the grave, but I thought that someone should know what exactly is going on in the internet. I'm hoping this can get some awareness so it can be investigated, since I tried my best to get it investigated, but I want to stay anonymous, which is why I'm telling this story here. It needs to be told so others can put a stop to it. A few years ago, when I was 16, I had been really bored and had watched YouTube videos on true deep web experiences. I was really interested in this stuff, just from how there's a much darker side to the internet than 4chan. What bothered me about this was that there was always a mention of child pornography, or some freak who invites you to a live cam show to witness murders. Well, I tried to download Tor once, but I didn't have it in me. So what's the haunting part of this story, right? Tor should basically be the focus of this story, but it isn't. It's actually Omegle. I had always gone there to kill time and to see if there was someone who had shared my interests. Well, those deep web stories had gotten to me, and I thought, what if I could find someone who liked the little girls and kids or any keyword relating to children? So I started looking for this. I got the occasional guy joking off and stuff like that, not too heavy. But then things took a creepy turn when there were pictures of girls posing in their underwear. What sealed my shock was this small dark-skinned Asian girl getting banged by this large hairy guy. I felt sick just watching it. But somehow my curiosity got the better of me and I continued the search. It took a few skips of more sausage being jerked until a dark screen appeared. The guy who didn't want his face seen said, "Send to receive." I questioned the guy what he meant, but he left. This gave me a hunch that something was going on here. I was afraid at even thinking about what it could be, but I forced myself to check. I had entered "Send to receive," and I came across many users who liked that keyword. They all kept saying that phrase like it was a secret word to start exchanging something, and that's exactly what it was. I pretended like I had what he wanted, but I told him to go first. He sent a link to a cloud sharing website called Dropbox. From this link, a folder of child pornography images and videos opened up. That's when I knew that I had actually stumbled upon a child pornography exchange system in the most infamous web chat site on the internet. What made this worse was that I actually watched one of the videos. I have no interest in this stuff, believe me, but I was investigating and wondered what the hell can I learn from this exchange. Most of these videos looked like kids who were exposed to sex from their exploiters and manipulated them into thinking it's fun. It was sick knowing how much fun these kids were having. It's possible that these pedophiles were fathers, relatives, kidnappers, or guys who paid to sleep with children in a different country. I'm repulsed that I actually saw these things. With each link I cheated out of these pedos without completing the exchange, I had reported all of them until the links were no longer available. I kept doing this, and I do today as well, but there's more copies and uploads of these images no matter how many times I thought I saw the last of them. I've been reporting these links anonymously for years now. I had seen so much innocence lost. I had wondered if my reports were able to be traced to find these kids in the videos. I don't know what happens to these children, if they're even saved. I've so far known all the keywords to find these pedos still exchanging links like S2R or STR, and I fear it may never end. I expected this stuff out of the deep web, but it goes to show that such foul activities take place in the most unsuspecting and easily accessible places. It's a miracle my mind can still function properly after everything I saw. I haven't been traumatized enough to where I need counseling or a psychiatrist. It's pretty messed up when I think about it. In fact, I've trolled these pedos a few times just to piss them off for being sexually attracted to underdeveloping human beings who can't comprehend the real purpose of sex. It makes me feel like the activist Anonymous sometimes for what I've done. I even named myself Indigo to sound like this hero, but I'm not a hero. The true heroes are the people who take these reports 24/7 and try to delete them. They probably have children themselves and are terrified that something like in the images will happen to them. I report so many links in a day that I probably scarred or traumatized these guys. Let this be a bit of a note or warning to anyone who dares go on Omegle to attempt to do what I did. Just don't visit the links. Copy the link and report it to a website that handles child sexual abuse images. That's all I want. I don't want this to ruin people's mentality or get them conformed into the exchange. I don't want to inspire anyone to stop these pedos, but I'm tired of being the only one who knows about what goes on in Omegle. But if one person comes to help after hearing this story, I do applaud you, and good luck. Maybe that person will become Indigo, or perhaps there will be more Indigos. G'day mates, it's Busta here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks again to the Hive members that bravely shared their stories for us all here. And for the chance to have your story feature in a video, you can send your story to my email, which is in the description below. And as always, keep them coming, guys, as this channel relies upon your stories to continue. Also, please do me a favor and just state in your email what your story is about in the description, and also provide me with a short written statement of consent just so that I can be above board with everything. And also remember to tell me in the email if you would like to remain anonymous. Please also change any names if you don't want particular names to be shared. So guys, I have decided to try and do some more themed videos again, and to do this I've decided I'm going to send some requests at the end of some videos for people to share particular types of stories. I'm doing this so that I can make a themed video. So two video genres I've been wanting to cover for some time are hacking stories and mental hospital stories. So if you have a story that would fit under either of these genres, I would love to hear from you. But remember guys, even if you don't have this type of story, please continue to send your stories in, as I would really love to see them too. So the Hive is just buzzing again, guys, and I'm so glad to see that, because I mean, after all the copyright stuff that went down and having to take so many videos down and put them on private, I was really disheartened, but everything seems to be really picking up again, which is really good to see. So yeah, on that note, we're getting so close now to 200,000 subscribers, which is just awesome. And I just wanted to give a reminder to everyone as well that given all the copyright stuff that went down a little while ago and the few things that are going on in my life at the moment, I haven't really had a chance to produce anything special just yet. But I have decided that I am going to do a Draw My Life at some stage, so I'm committing to that, so stay tuned for it. And in the meantime, I just want to say a huge thank you to you all for all of your amazing support. Honestly guys, I'm just seriously amazed at how much support you just throw my way, and it's just seriously awesome, and I've enjoyed really every moment of making videos for you guys. So thanks again for being so awesome and for always watching the videos and having my back. I really appreciate it, guys. So some of you have noticed I've set up my new mic and have been playing around with the settings. The last video, a couple of people have kind of said that it might be a little bit deep or it might be okay, so I've just been kind of mucking around with it, but the first two stories of this video were recorded with the best settings I could muster up so far. I've been working really hard to get it just right for you guys, so let me know if this was okay, the two first stories. And as always, it would be awesome if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates throughout the week. You can also catch me on my second gaming channel, all of which have links in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you mates in the next one.